there'll be people that they'll DM me and be like, you see what your boy's doing? You voted for this. I'm like, I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for. Yeah. I want him to stop the wars. He's funding them. I want him to shrink spending, reduce the budget. He's increasing it.
It's the MAGA morning after, the MAGA walk of shame, whatever you want to call it. Hi again, everybody. It's 5 o'clock in the East. There's that saying, don't bite the hands that feed you. And yet that seems like exactly what Donald Trump is doing right now to his old friends in the manosphere. The man you just heard from is big in the manosphere. His name is Andrew Schulz. He's a comedian and a podcaster who got really excited about Donald Trump and strongly backed him, was likely influential with all of his listeners. He supported Trump in 2024. Trump went on his podcast in the lead up to November's election. It was one in a series of appearances that Trump made in said manosphere of right-wing podcasts and podcasters at the time. Appearances that garnered millions of views and viewers outside of the political news environment, podcasters who were comedians or not anchoring political broadcasts like this one. Those appearances turned out to be a boon to his campaign. Melania credited their son Barron with the strategy. But as you just heard Schulz, the podcaster, the comedian, say, he's not happy with anything. Quote, I didn't sign up for any of this. And he and Trump voters like him, like his listeners, arguably, are not happy with the things Trump's doing, the reality right now. What they say they voted for is not what they see happening. New reporting in the Washington Post shows they're not alone. Quote, frustration and anger have roiled some of Trump's most loyal supporters who fear he is going back on promises crucial to the MAGA movement. Trump is advocating a new policy that would spare swaths of migrant workers from deportations. Top administration officials who long promised to expose hidden truths about Jeffrey Epstein, the wealthy child sex offender who died in 2019, suddenly conceded this week that they had nothing more to share about the case. And Trump said he would send more weapons to Ukraine just days after leading MAGA figures cheered the Pentagon decision to halt the shipments. Quote, I will tell you right now, MAGA has never been in more turmoil than in the last 72 hours, said a person close to Trump, speaking anonymously in order to discuss a sensitive situation. Now, on the topic of the Epstein client list, we saw MAGA world whipped into a frenzy and a fury this week, feeling as though they'd been deceived, lied to, when Trump snapped at a reporter at a cabinet meeting by saying, quote, I can't believe you're asking about Epstein at a time like this. Liz Wheeler, a MAGA influencer, even posted, quote, Trump is massively misreading his base on this one. It could cost him the midterms. And here's a little bit more of the comedian we came in on, Schulz, reacting to that same moment of Trump brushing aside questions of Epstein.
So we're stupid.
Yeah.
we're the idiots, guys. Just to let you know, we're wasting
look
time.
At us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good point.
That is, like, in all seriousness, that is, I think, what is enraging people right now is it's insulting our intelligence. Like, obviously, the intelligence community is trying to cover it up. Obviously, the Trump administration is trying to cover up. Something changed because they ran on this idea of exposing it all.
Ding, 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 ding. Trump thinks you're stupid. That's why he does what he does. That's why he baits and switches. That's why he says he's going to make things cheaper, and then he launches a trade war to make them more expensive. You got it. Even people inside the Trump administration are angry, it would appear. As we reported in the last hour, they're equally wed to the conspiracies, it would seem, all the way up to the deputy FBI director, Dan Bongino, who is reported now to be thinking of leaving his job due to his frustration over the Jeffrey Epstein matter and after a heated confrontation with Attorney General Pam Bondi. The Justice Department declined to comment when asked by NBC News. When it comes to Trump's top issue among his voters, his curbing of illegal immigration in our country, there's new polling that shows support for what he's doing is bottoming out. It's falling faster than it's ever fallen since he's been on the public stage, in the arena, if you will. Gallup finds that only 35% of Americans approve of his handling of immigration. 62% disapprove. That's the lowest it's ever been. Among those who disapprove, one of the most influential voices in the podcast space, Joe Rogan, has voiced his frustration more than once. Listen.
There's two things that are insane. One is the targeting of migrant workers, not cartel members, not gang members, not drug dealers, just construction workers showing up in construction sites and raiding them, gardeners.
Yeah.
Like, really?
If the Trump administration, if they're running and they said, we're going to go to Home Depot and we're going to arrest all the people at Home Depot, we're going to go to construction sites and we're going to just like tackle people at constructions, I don't think anybody would have signed up for that. They said, we're going to get rid of the criminals and the gang members first, right? And now we're seeing like Home Depots get raided. Like, that's crazy.
Trouble in the Manosphere is where we start this hour. Some of our favorite experts and friends. Former senior advisor to President Biden and Vice President Harris, former mayor of New Orleans, Mitch Landrieu's here. Also joining us, MSNBC columnist, author of the newsletter To the Contrary, Charlie Sykes is here. Also joining us, MSNBC senior contributing editor Michelle Norris is here as well. Michelle, I'll start with you, and then we'll let the men weigh in on trouble in the Manosphere. This was a smart political strategy. And now that I've stuck my toe into podcast world, I have even more understanding of how influential Joe Rogan is and the other voices. They dominate this space. And part of the reason they dominate the space is it isn't just politics. I mean, it's comedy, it's sports. It comes in ways that are, for a lot of listeners, a lot more appealing than news and politics. And they are not happy right now for a variety of reasons, but chief among them, Joe Rogan, for months now, has been voicing his concern with disappearing students on campuses, arresting workers on their jobs, landscapers and construction workers. And that has been pretty consistent. And you have others who may have been more animated by the conspiracy theories about Jeffrey Epstein, wearing tinfoil hats, I think, in that clip I showed you, and saying they think we're all idiots. I mean, they're onto him.
Well, I'm glad you explained the tinfoil hats, because I didn't understand why the baked potato thing was happening on top of their heads.
I'm open to being fact checked on that, but that's my best guess about the tinfoil hats.
But I think the through line in all of this is people feel like they've been hoodwinked, bamboozled. They were sold a bill of goods. He said he was going to do one thing, they said, and now they see him doing something else. I'm surprised a bit that they're surprised, because I think we should have expected to see some of this from Donald Trump. He said that there were going to be mass deportations. He said that there were going to be tariffs. Maybe people didn't read the fine print and understand this, but I think for their audience, one of the reasons that it was so effective is podcasting is a very intimate medium. People are listening in their personal spaces. You're inside their head. And it was a way to put Donald Trump in front of a large audience of young men who saw him a bit as a renegade at that point. But now that he's in the White House, he's gone from renegade to retrograde. He's gone from someone who was an outsider to who was an insider, who's part of the establishment and doing things that they don't much like. And I think it's going to be very hard for him to claw back on this from that group now that he's lost them. I don't think that that's going to be easy. And they're reminded every day by these images that they see. It's the economy is one thing, but I think the deportations and the Epstein case are the two things that are going to make it really difficult for him to turn this around. It's interesting in the MAGA world, the things that are sticky for them, and Epstein is one of those things. It's hard to explain. It's almost like Pizzagate. Like, where did that come from?
Totally.
They aren't going to let go of that. There's no exterminating it. There's no getting rid of it. There's nothing that you can do that makes sense to help explain how they can get rid of that. And they put themselves in this box by making claims, by talking about things that, frankly, they should never be talking about. This is a case that there's no reason that Pam Bondi should be involved in this conversation at all. And now it's come back to bite them.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch, I think Michelle's put her finger on the political danger of the moment for Trump. We cover the economy because the economy affects every single person. And no person in their right mind wishes for any economic uncertainty or hardship or despair for anybody. However, Trump's bait and switch is a huge political story, and it's an economic story. It doesn't have heat. It doesn't stick for some reason, the way the Epstein betrayal seems to be sticking. And the problem, I think, and I'm curious your thoughts on this political moment, is that Trump went into these spaces And they gave him the benefit of the doubt. He was a politician, but he didn't talk like one. He didn't sound like one. And he was a convicted felon, for Christ's sake. You know, he wanted to be accepted in their world as one of them or as acceptable to them. And now, after the Epstein handling, he is establishment. And he's accused of someone with more credibility than him in this world, Elon Musk, of being in the Epstein files himself. How do we sort of unearth one? Make sense of this moment?
Well, a couple of things, and it's good to see Charlie and Michelle. One, Donald Trump has betrayed the folks that voted for him. But that's just what Donald Trump does. He's pretty much betrayed everybody in his life because he's a betrayer. And people are starting to feel that pain, and I feel bad for them. I can't speak and don't understand the MAGA crowd, but there are a whole bunch of working class people that are not MAGA that voted for Trump that are being betrayed right now because the reason they voted for him was because he would reduce cost. And this, as you said, his costs have gone up. Secondly, it's becoming clear, as if it wasn't before, that Donald Trump does a bad job at his job. That is hiring people that know what they're doing.